Hello, everybody. Let me ask you a question. When you were a kid, did you ever wonder what teachers talked about in the teacher's lounge?
You probably didn't miss much. It's usually boring stuff like grading papers, lesson planning, and then figuring out the new train schedule.
Train schedule?
Well, I teach in the city.
But sometimes, at one of the not-so-cool tables in the back of the teacher's lounge, you might find us, the Fandalorians, teachers by day, nerds by night.
My name is Mr. Richardson, and by day, Mr. McDonald, Mr. G, and I teach and inspire America's youth.
But by night, we debate, discuss, and argue about all things in the pop culture universe on our podcast.
We discuss all the biggest pop culture topics in the world, like Ozark, Stranger Things, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Marvel, Star Wars, Top Gun Maverick, The Old Man, Bridgerton, you name it, we'll probably discuss it.
You guys watch Bridgerton?
Yo, season 1 of Bridgerton was awesome. You don't know what you're missing. Since we are teachers, you will always get a ton of background information about our topics and original teacher-themed segments, like our pop culture morning announcements, building meetings, and post-observation reviews of shows and movies. Oh, and arguing. You'll get lots of disagreements and arguing, like way more than I'm comfortable with.
You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night.
Then join us every Monday as we look into the current state of fandom and pop culture.
Hey, look, the bell's about to ring. We need to head to the buses. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Well, I mean, they're not going to see us because this is a podcast.
I know.
But they can't even see us when you think about it, so they won't see us either.
Oh my God, you know what I meant. It wasn't literal. Just ring the bell. Ring the bell.
The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night. I hope you listen and subscribe to us soon.
I hate you guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to Films and Fermentation, episode 101. That's right, we are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're just three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. On this episode, we're going on an Easter egg hunt.
Get candy. I want an Easter egg. Egg.
Spring is in the air and Easter is upon us.
Yeah,
why not talk? What's that?
Summer's in the air.
Summer's
80
in the
degrees,
air.
83 degrees today.
I mowed my lawn the other day. I almost had a heart attack.
Yeah, I mowed my lawn today. I did have a heart attack.
On this episode, spring or possibly summer is in the air and Easter is upon us. So why not talk about some popular Easter eggs in film? An Easter egg is a term used to describe a message, image, or feature hidden in a video game, film, or other medium. It's those little sneaky hidden messages in your favorite film that you love to spot and makes you go, clever. So that's all this tonight's episode 101, the Easter egg hunt. Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. You can find us on Patreon if you'd like to support the show, or go to teespring.com and visit our storefront to buy some of our merchandise. Recently, we switched hosting platforms to Buzzsprout. Let me tell you a little something about Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message to the world. Buzzsprout gets your show listed in every major podcast platform. We use Buzzsprout now, and it's been a game changer for us. All new analytics, tools, and resources, all these different things that we did not have before. So upgrade to Buzzsprout. Follow the link in our show notes, and let Buzzsprout know we sent you. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you. What are we drinking tonight?
Tea.
Long Island iced tea?
No.
Hoop tea?
Mint julep?
No. Unsweetened tea. I'm on call. So I have to be dry.
I just there's no fanfare, no flair to it at all. What are you drinking? tea.
Tea.
Yes, Mike is on call this week, unfortunately, so we are only two of three in the fermentation department tonight.
That's all.
That's all, folks. And yes, and for other reasons, Mike has to also drink unsweetened tea.
The brown water.
Yeah.
He's drinking brown leafy
He's
water.
drinking brown water. Is it hot tea or cold tea? Oh, it's iced tea. Okay,
As
It's
Ted
iced
Lasso
tea.
would say, it's just brown water.
Mm-hmm. And Kev, what are you drinking?
I am drinking something I found yesterday, actually, in Beer World in Liberty, New York.
Bilbo?
Beer World.
Beer.
Beer World. And I am drinking,
Yeah.
because this is about the Easter eggs. Peep this. Peep this, which is a stout with milk, sugar, chocolate, and marshmallow. It's a 7.4% alcohol by volume, and it's from Hamburg Brewing, and also in New York, Hamburg. So I have not had it yet. Haven't tried it. Haven't sipped it. This will be.
It looks fun.
It looks fun. Oh, there we go.
Ugh, marshmallow.
Mm. Oh, it's thick.
That's what she said.
It's not bad.
Does it taste like a peep?
It doesn't. It's got very little marshmallow flavor. It's more heavy on the chocolate than it is on the marshmallow, I think.
So
Yeah,
thick and dark.
thick, dark,
Like a dark,
chocolatey.
just like you like your mint.
It's not bad though. It's not bad. And I have a backup for we've had this before, gentlemen. The Kirsch Noir.
That's the one that made our episode All Hallows Eve so interesting.
Yes.
So I looked up Easter-related cocktails earlier, and I found one that sounded interesting. So I actually had it during my while I was eating dinner earlier, just to give it a try. It was called the Candied Old Fashioned,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a teaspoon of brown sugar, teaspoon of water, and 2 little sprigs of Angostura bitters, and then you mull that together, and then put ice on top and 2 ounces of bourbon, and mix it together real good. And so it sounded good. Candied old fashioned, just bourbon with brown sugar. I was like, that sounds like I could do that. It was so sweet. Like super, super sweet. Like sweeter than the Peep This, it sounded like. And I was like, you know what? I can't drink this all night. It's tasty, but I'm not really that big on super sweet stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Normal old fashioned?
well, I did the old the 7 and 7 last week. I don't want to do that again, so I switched over to gin and ginger ale. And I'm drinking one of my favorite gins, Seneca Drums from Finger Lakes Distillery, which is up in Seneca, New York. So another New York-based drink.
When you go up to the Finger Lakes, do you go through PA or do you go all the way up North Jersey and then cut into upstate?
So I take Jersey to PA Turnpike,
Mm-hmm.
and then ride the PA Turnpike to the end.
Okay, so you go
And
up
then
the Northeast Extension
yeah,
and then
all the way to the end. And what's interesting is at one point during the Turnpike, you enter New York.
It says end of the turnpike.
Yeah, it actually says when you get there, there's a big sign. There's like a mountain in front of you
Mhm.
and a big sign on it that says "End of the Turnpike." It's like the creepiest,
Been
one
there.
of the creepiest things I've ever seen.
Oh wow.
And then you turn off, and then the next road you're on, you're driving through PA, and then you go into New York, and then you come back into Pennsylvania, and then back into New York. It's like the road like rides the border. It's really funny. But yeah, I take.
No,
PA all the way
I would
up.
have loved to have come back down through PA as opposed to being in New York traffic at 5:00 in the afternoon, 5:00 in the evening yesterday. That was a lot of fun.
Yuck.
You guys freezing? I'm freezing a little bit.
Well, you should
you
turn
should
down
leave
your air conditioning.
I did that last night. Oh my god, we had the heat on. We didn't realize it, and I woke up in the fucking middle of the night with like a pool of sweat around.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you have any history for us this week?
This day in film History. In 1906, the world's first animated cartoon is released. Humorous Phases of Funny Faces by J. Stewart Blackton.
I think we played this on the show before.
I think we discussed it at least once.
I remember talking about it before. I think I actually played a little clip of it from YouTube. I might have to look it up and do that again when I edit the program. But I kind of remember talking about that before.
Yeah, not much happened on this day. So
It must have came up with it last year. This time. It's also the 100th anniversary this year of Warner Brothers Studios.
Oh, cool.
What's up, Doc?
Yeah, which has brought us the Looney Tunes, most Steven Spielberg films, Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Footloose, Jailhouse Rock, Wizard of Oz. They are all Warner Brothers productions. And I also read something earlier this week, Mike. I just thought of it now, even though we didn't add it to This Week in Film History, that the original iteration of Mickey Mouse, which was the Steamboat Willie version, is about to become public domain.
There's no way. They're going
Well,
to make me call it domain.
What I was reading in the article was that it's 95 years old this year, the Steamboat Willie cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about to go public domain. And right now there's like some sort of like hold up in the legal process because, you know, Disney, of course, does not want to lose the rights to a character like that.
All right.
It's not the red shorts, you know, big white hands version of Mickey Mouse that everybody knows from the parks. It's the Steamboat Willie version, which is their original iteration. So I can't imagine if they lost that and it became public domain, the kind of shit that people would do with that. But I thought it was interesting to see that. But I have no doubt that Disney will find a way to legally reattain those rights to that character. So, do you have a must-try beer or craft destination for this evening, Mike?
I have a. What do I have? I must try beer.
Mm-hmm.
Chillax Pineapple Gold from Bootstrap Brewing Company, Longmont, Colorado. Most fruited tropical ales are hazy. Not so with this one. The 4.5% alcohol by volume. Chillax pours brilliant gold and boasts a fresh aroma of ripe pineapples. Sweet malt arrives on the palate, and while the pineapple isn't as strong as in flavor as it is in aroma, there is a complement. What's there complements the maltiness rather well. There you go. If you want a pineapple beer, which I don't think
I don't mind pineapple beer. I do mind pineapple chunky beer, which I think last summer's pool noodles from Double Nickel, they were tart. They were, you know, heavy, but I think it just shocked me when I was chewing my beer. Pulp.
Yeah.
So I was like me with the vegetable beer.
Yeah, I like to say, don't go about chewing beer because, you know, Lee still has nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Kev, since you just had a trip to the Catskills, do you have any craft destinations for us to
I do indeed. So I'll recommend. Well, I'll talk about all three that we had gone to. So our first one was the Roscoe Brewery, award-winning, because you'll see plenty of signs of that going on up Route 17, that in Beer World. But Roscoe Brewing had, what we got? They had 10 beers on draft. 2 of them were like seasonal, and those were the 2 that we couldn't get to bring home, unless we wanted a growler. And I've kind of moved away from the growlers. You know, I've even moved away, and not many people offer growlers anymore. But they were an Autumn Spice, which I'm sure was an older beer that they just had sticking around, but it was very, very good. And the other one was a maple syrup stout, and that was very, very good. That and their beers overall were okay. The second place we went was in Callicoon, New York, which was kind of about 40 minutes away from my campsite. They had 3 beers on draft, and they were decent. They were okay. I'm trying to think if No Brown Cow Stout might have been, the best of the 3. And then the last one was by far the best, and that was in. I'm going to screw it up. It's another 20 minutes away from, we were in Roscoe, New York, and this was called Upward. Yeah, I'm going to need to look it up. It was called Upward Brewery, and they have a nice plot of land. They have their own little mountain that you can climb. They call it Beer Mountain. It's about a 3/4 of a mile hike that you can take. Nice pond at the base of it. Beautiful, beautiful area. And we went there and tried all of their beers. The bartender at the time, whose name was Shaggy, gave us 2 tasters, 2 half pours, 2 half pours for free, since he knew that we were kind of trying them all. Livingston Manor. That's it, Livingston Manor. And we get a little bit of gossip. Shaggy let us in on that Upward Brewery. Their brewers had once been part of what's called Catskills Brewery, which was another one that we were trying to get to, but surprisingly they were closed. But there was a bit of a beef between some of the owners of Catskills and some of the owners of Upward, and they severed ways, and Upward, had great beers, and I couldn't say anything about Catskills Brewery because they weren't open for me to try. So,
Wow.
When you mentioned the maple syrup beer, I heard Mike's A1C go up.
Well, I will say that we do like to gift our beers to each other. So I definitely have a 4-pack for each of you guys from Upward. And unfortunately, I don't think any of them have the maple syrup to them. So I believe there's 1 stout, 1 tart, 1 IPA, and I can't think of what the other one might be.
Cool.
But if you guys want, I can slip in one of the Peep Dis, and you guys can try Peep Dis.
All right. So we've come to one of my favorite parts of the show now. The synopsis according to Glip.
This clip listening to last week.
Glip,
Synopsis
you're drunk,
according to
go
Glip.
home.
Yeah. Synopsis according to Glip, of course, brought to you by Newsly, all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. Why read the news when you can have it read to you in a natural human voice? To find out more, go to newsly.me, and if you use the promo code ANFERMENT, get the first month premium subscription for free.
I wonder if
Stop
we could.
scrolling.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
Start listening, newsly.me.
I was just going to say, I wonder if Newsly could, do a voice of like Barney from The Simpsons. I'm just trying to read it like this, and go through whatever it was. But yes, Newsly.
Yeah. Synopsis according to Glip. So, in case anybody out there who's listened to us has no idea what Glip is, even though we've talked about it for probably about 50 episodes now. Glip is the recording platform that we use for our video show that I then download into an audio file for all of our podcast platforms. It's a part of the Ring Central network. And one of the things I like about it is that it gives you a synopsis of the show after it's done downloading the recording. And the reason I bring it up every episode is because the synopsis usually tends to be pretty entertaining and pretty out there.
And this one's no different.
So last week's episode was our 100th episode. We celebrated a lot that episode. Yes, thank you, sir. We had a lot of guest congratulations messages on that episode, and we talked about the AFI film list from the 100 Years, 100 Movies. But according to Glip, this was the synopsis. The focus of the meeting was motion picture production, 100 years of podcasting, the history of film, patio for visitors, good Christmas classics, boats and hoes, wives and hoodies, and older movies.
Where did boats and hoes come from?
When Katie and Megan both made their on-screen debut with their hoods on, I kept saying, "Oh, look, wives and hoodies." And Kevin at one point went, "Boats and hoes, wives and hoodies."
Okay.
And somehow or another, Glip picked that up amongst everything else in the show.
Made up with that.
Boats and Hose, Wives and Hoodies. It'll say Boats and Hose versus Wives and Hoodies.
Yeah.
I know where this came from. That was my read.
So let's see. The motion picture production 100 years. The 100 years of podcasting was when Kevin went to make a toast with your champagne, and you said 100 years instead of 100 episodes. History of film. I mean, a lot of that's obvious. We talked about the AFI list. Patio for visitors. I'm guessing I was talking about my Florida room at some point.
No, that was my read.
That was your read.
That was my.
That was the beer destination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good Christmas classics was you guys, making fun of me for never seeing It's a Wonderful Life again. And then older movies was part of the AFI list as well. So I mean, it did kind of get the synopsis right this time.
It picks up a lot of shit Kevin says.
Yeah, it's just funny that it picked out Boats and Hose and Wives and Hoodies.
100 years of podcasting.
100 years of podcasting. That was synopsis according to Glip. I'm going to have to record that, put a little music behind it. We'll be right back with our main segment after this short break.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Deb.
And we host a pretty fun podcast called Today We Laughed and Learned. You know, this is where we discuss all the things we should have learned, but, well, never did. And we have quite a few laughs along the way.
Today We Laughed and Learned with Chris and Deb.
We're curious about everything. Experts on nothing.
Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, Spooklings.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Kathy.
And we're the hosts of the weekly podcast, All Hallows Eve Podcast.
We are a husband and wife duo with a passion for anything spooky, macabre, and true crime, sprinkled with our own twist of comedy.
We explore topics such as the history of Halloween, the Butcher of Plainfield, Hocus Pocus 2, urban legends, superstitions, and more.
So come join us as we go down the rabbit hole that is All Hallows Eve Podcast.
Listen and follow us at allhallowsevepodcast.com or your favorite podcast provider.
Stay spooky, my friends.
Sneezes.
Oh, wow.
I was trying to control it.
I mean, I had that last one looked at.
Mike's hitting that iced tea hard tonight.
I am.
All right. Tonight's main segment is an Easter egg hunt. We're going to look at a few examples of movies that hid some clever little secrets in their film. I remember the one of the first Easter egg things used to be when you would buy a special DVD, and you would have to like search like little areas of the title screen to find the Easter eggs. You know.
Yep.
Now they're a little more blatant. There are things that are actually hidden in the film. So as we were doing a research for this, we realized there are a lot of Easter eggs out there. So we're probably going to make this a segment on another episode as well. And for tonight, we're just going to take a look at a few movies that are on this Easter egg list. The first one I have here is Fight Club.
Wait,
so
there were
actually
Easter eggs in Fight Club?
Yeah.
Sorry.
There are actually a few Easter eggs in Fight Club. The main one is that there is a Starbucks logo or a Starbucks cup in every episode, or in every like scene of the film.
Is it every
I have to go back and watch
or is it every scene with the narrator?
So it says the Fight Club is a film about consumerism, and that was one of the ways that it satirized it. We had a lot of fun using the Starbucks cups. They are everywhere in every shot. I don't have anything personal against Starbucks, says David Fincher. I think we were just trying to do a good thing, and it just became very successful. So the Easter egg is that you can find a Starbucks cup somewhere in every scene.
And I would say that was a movie that came out before Starbucks actually took at least the East Coast where we're at. I can't recall there being many Starbucks in the Northeast portion of the United States when the movie
can
came
go
out.
down a block without going by 3.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see. So like Fight Club came out in 99 and Starbucks got its start in the 80s, starting up in Seattle and kind of started spreading down the West Coast. And it wasn't really till about the 90s where it started making its way to the East Coast. So yeah, it's probably like about the time it was starting to pick up. I think TV shows like Friends made
Coffee drinking.
shops a cool place to hang out,
Yeah.
and so Starbucks took advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then because this is a movie about consumerism, yeah, you can find Starbucks in every scene apparently.
Interesting.
The other little Easter egg in Fight Club happens to be that Tyler Durden shows up in single shots throughout the film.
Right, like spliced in.
So like spliced in. So like most scenes are like multiple, cells of film per like 1 second of film or something
24
like that.
frames for 1 second. Yeah.
Something like that. And they would splice 1 second of him into a frame.
Yeah.
And so like if you watch it on a slow enough speed, you could see him pop up from time to time in different scenes.
And it's interesting because they make mention of that in the movie, how Tyler Durden would do that, and as a projectionist in the theater, he would splice in the middle of a cartoon, he'd put in, a fraction of a second of porn or something, so that you weren't quite sure you'd seen it.
At the very, very end of the film, when the buildings are blowing up and Ed Norton and Helena Bonham Carter are standing there watching it, there's a very, very quick splice of a dick that kind of pops into frame and disappears. And if you slow it down enough, you see it. But it's like one of those things where it's like one frame spliced into 24 frames of film. Yeah, they had some fun with that in that movie. Next one is from Pulp Fiction. So this is actually a dual Easter egg because Tarantino has a shared universe throughout all of his films. In Pulp Fiction, the Mia character played by Uma Thurman tells John Travolta's character about how she tried out Vince Vega. She tried out for a TV show called the Fox Force 5. And she describes them at the leader was the blonde one. That was her character. The Japanese girl was a kung fu master. There was a black girl who was a demolition expert. The French fox was her specialty was sex. She goes, and the character I played was the deadliest woman in the world with a knife. So she describes like all these characters from Fox Force 5. And then when she stars in Kill Bill, the women that she defeats in the film are basically the Fox Force 5 characters. She's the most deadly woman in the world with a sword. There's a French woman. There's the Japanese character played by Lucy Liu. There's Vivica A. Fox's character. So there's like, that's kind of like Tarantino tying his movies together with a little Easter egg. I'm going to name the next film. And I don't know if you guys have the site up or not in front of you, but
Depends upon which site is it? The first one?
So, I'll just say, can you tell me the Easter egg in The Godfather?
The oranges?
The oranges. Anytime there is a scene involving death, an orange is present. It references an upcoming death scene. That's an older one.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that's actually like kind of before Easter eggs were a thing. It was just sort of like I think it was sort of like a decision on Francis Ford Coppola's part.
Kind of like the red
in Sixth Sense.
I ain't seen a twist like that since
The Sixth Sense. It's gonna be a running thing now.
Yes. I didn't see that coming.
I haven't seen a twist ending like that since The Sixth Sense. Damn.
Next one I have here is from The Departed. It's another upcoming death reference, and that is that every upcoming death has an X marks the spot somewhere in the scene. So when Martin Sheen's character gets thrown off the building, there's X's in the windows as he's falling. When DiCaprio gets shot, there's an X with like black tape behind him on the wall. So if you see an X in the film, if I had known that, I would have known that, DiCaprio was going to get killed in that scene. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Here's a fun one. Tron.
Original?
Yeah. The original Tron. Mike, you know what it is?
Yeah, because I actually clicked on it. I have it on here. There's a little Pac-Man on one of the big screens that the main bad guy's looking at.
So yeah, the main villain, who's the guy that has like the red lines going through his costume.
Yeah.
He's looking at this like map or chart or something on some computer screen, and down in like the right-hand corner, Pac-Man is moving along, chomping the little dots. Like, but it's like one of those like blink and you'll miss it kind of things.
Mhm.
You have to actually pause the scene to grab it. Here's a weird one. I never knew about like how. I mean, I don't know if this is. I mean, it looks exactly the same, but I'm not sure like where this comes from. So, Toy Story has a reference to The Shining.
Mm.
Yeah, the carpet.
The
It
carpet
seems
in Sid's
inverted,
house.
but yeah.
The carpet in Sid's house is the same as the carpet in the hotel in The Shining. When the toys are captured by the antagonist Sid and held captive, his room bears an uncanny resemblance to another inescapable dwelling, the Overlook Hotel. If you look closely, the carpet in Sid's room is identical to the carpet in the hotel of the horror classic. Further still, the number 237 appears throughout the film. That was a reference to Jack's doomed room in the haunted hotel.
Wow.
Oh, it
It's a weird Easter egg to throw into a children's film.
It is. It is.
It is.
Now, and
I'm going to skip.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not using the. I'm going to skip some of these. I'm not going to go through all of them because I like.
No,
I like
but
this
and
one
I was
here,
thinking about something. The movie Ready Player One. I mean, do we count those as Easter eggs, or were they just they're intentionally there because the writer was so fixated on the 80s and everything that came out of it? You know, like do you consider that Easter eggs, or is that just like, no, this is because this is the way it should have been?
I think they were intentionally there because the whole point of the film was that the characters were searching for these Easter eggs because they were going to lead to, you know, the person finding all these Easter eggs was going to like win the game or whatever it was. If you read the novel version, it really goes into more detail about it. The novel's way better than the film.
Okay.
And really gets into the details of why this guy was so obsessed with 80s films and the Easter eggs that are involved in them and all that. So, yeah, I mean, the movie, I actually kind of liked the movie.
I thought the movie was okay.
But I was constantly comparing it to what I read.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Easter eggs were kind of like on purpose in that film. Here's a good one. Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Ezekiel 25:17.
Yes, when we see Nick Fury's headstone says "The Path of the Righteous Man," Ezekiel 25:17, which of course is the famous monologue from Pulp Fiction, quoted by the actor who plays both characters, Samuel L. Jackson. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides.
Say what again?
Say what again, motherfucker? Do they speak English and what? Does Marcellus Wallace look like a bitch? Then why you try to fuck him like a bitch, Brett? I love Pulp Fiction. And that's just funny that like they squeeze that into the Marvel thing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Star Wars likes to use the call sign THX 1138.
Yeah.
You hear it a lot throughout the film, and it's notably the name of one of George Lucas's first films. Is actually his directorial debut in 1971 was a sci-fi film called THX 1138.
Mm-hmm.
Prison transfer from cell block 1138.
Yes. Let's see where else we got here.
I like Indies.
Yeah, Indies is a good one. So I'll scroll down to the Indiana Jones one, which is one of the cartoons in the.
I have to go back and watch it now to see.
Yeah.
If I can find
So
that.
it's the tomb where he finds the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One of like the engravings on the column behind him have a
The
little
hieroglyphs.
hieroglyphic that looks like C-3PO and R2-D2.
One definitely R2D2.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. If you watch some of the Star Wars movies, you can see like which one's coming to mind. And I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead and this was going to be mentioned, but
no, that's fine. This is what I
it's
want to do.
Solo, Han Solo. If you watch the Solo, a Star Wars story, what was his name? I want to say Dryden. I could be wrong about it. The one played by Paul Bettany.
The villain.
Yeah. So he's got a collection of things in his ship, in his lounge, if you will. And one of the things is the idol that you see in the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's sitting right in there. Yeah.
The little gold
The
idol that
little
he
gold
steals at the
idol,
beginning of
yeah,
the
that
film.
he's,
Oh
you know.
wow! I have to rewatch Solo to see that now. I thought you were going to talk about Attack of the Clones, where we find ET in the Senate.
No, but I know that one too.
Yeah, there's that quick scene where you see little ETs in the Senate. Here's a good one. This is great. This is from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The Easter egg in the Rocky Horror Picture Show is an actual Easter egg that's hidden in different places throughout the film. It's like an actual egg that's like hidden. So it's like under the throne that Frankenfurter sits on. It just kind of like pops up around the movie throughout the film. So let's go to another site here because that's all that one had. Let's see what Site 2 here has. This one has 25 easy to miss movie details according to BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed usually has some pretty good ones. Stan Lee Easter egg in Spider-Man No Way Home. In Spider-Man No Way Home, the taxi number is 1228. This is a reference to the birthday of Stan Lee, who at this point had passed away before No Way Home came out.
Right.
So figured a way to get him in there anyway.
Which is nice.
Yes. In Up, the 2009 Pixar film Up, Carl takes down his mailbox the night before he takes off for the trip. I don't know if that's really so much an Easter egg. It's kind of like...
It's kind of foreshadowing, you know?
Yeah, it's more foreshadowing, I think. Let's go down to... I don't know. What's a good one? One of you guys scroll through the list, find one that you think you like to look at.
I'm looking.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna go to
the Home Alone one. It's like, oh, well, that's the reason. You know, you have to understand that the counting of the neighbor who was in the van is the whole reason why. Yeah,
I like Batman 2022. They have the William Shakespeare bust from the old TV series.
From the old 80s series. So in The Batman, which is the most recent one with
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, you can see a bust of William Shakespeare at the Wayne Manor. This is a reference to the 1960s Batman show. Bruce would lift up Shakespeare's head and press a button to open an entrance to the Batcave.
Yep.
Where they would slide down the poles and inexplicably be in their costumes when they got to the bottom.
Didn't you know you walk into a phone booth, come out Superman too? Come on.
Yeah, I know. At least Superman, like you see him move really fast and change into the costume. This is a funny one. If you go to number 10, it's Easter egg in the original Scream film. Henry Winkler appears in the film as the principal of the high school the characters go to. And in one scene, he's going through his office closet, and there is a motorcycle jacket like the one that Fonzie wore hanging up in the closet.
Oh, wow. I like the fact that number 11 in The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow had another way to kill the Wicked Witch. And pulls out a gun. What the hell?
That's really not an Easter egg either. That's just kind of like a weird like coincidence there. It's like, so in The Wizard of Oz, when they're sent to kill the Wicked Witch, the Scarecrow straight up brings a gun. Never gets used though. Here's one. I actually never knew this, man. As many times as I've seen this film. In The Dark Knight, after the Joker steals the bank owner's shotgun at the beginning of the film, he is repeatedly using it throughout the movie. So the guy that he shoots in the bank, when they rob the bank at the beginning, he steals that guy's shotgun and then uses it throughout the rest of the movie. I've never noticed that before. Here's a gag from the Disney animated film Hercules. In Hercules, in 1997, Hades says, "Guys, relax. It's only halftime." Exactly at the 46-minute mark, the halfway point of the 92-minute movie. There's another one similar to that. It's not on this list, but it made me think of it. In Spaceballs, after they turn the ships in ludicrous speed and they turn it down, and Darth's helmet goes flying into the console and like damages his helmet and everything. And he's like, "Are you all right, sir?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm fine. What should we do next, sir?" How about a 5-minute break? You want to take a 5-minute break, sir? Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break. And then falls over. and it's exactly 5 minutes later when you see the Spaceballs again.
I hadn't noticed that one.
I like in Meet the Robinsons, the characters of two Disney's canceled movies, The Peoples and Wildlife, can be seen inside Lewis's room of failed inventions.
Yeah. That's a real deep Easter egg because I didn't even know about those two movies.
Yeah,
I love Meet the Robinsons. That's an underrated Disney film.
It really is.
In the movie Luca, the Pizza Planet truck from Toy Story can be seen in the background of one scene.
Pizza Planet makes it into a lot of the Pixar movies, and that's cool. I'm not, dissing. I'm just saying, like, that is a staple for them. It's kind of like the THX 1138.
Yeah,
is the Pizza Planet. Yeah.
So
hold on.
I have to rewatch The Neverending Story after looking at this one.
Yeah.
You and me both.
Yeah, in The Neverending Story, 1984, during the Fantastica Palace scene, there's surprise appearances by Yoda, Gumby, Chewbacca, Mickey Mouse, C-3PO, E.T., and Ewoks.
And they have them labeled. If you look at that picture, they actually have the labels next to the characters.
Yeah, like it's a very. I have to zoom in here.
Mhm.
But, shit. So there's Chewbacca, Oh my God, it is fucking Gumby.
It is fucking Gumby.
It's Gumby. There's Yoda. Yoda's very obvious.
Mhm.
The Chewbacca one's a little difficult to see because it's kind of like a dark.
Mickey looks like a stick figure, Mickey.
Yeah, I can't see Mickey too well. The Ewoks are a little hard to tell.
Now I'm starting to question whether or not these were photoshopped in. Just because to take a look at them, it looks as if they just did silhouette and then position them around. You don't,
Especially the Yoda one really looks.
Yeah, and you're
look like
looking
it's
at
actually there.
you don't see shadows for the characters.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments underneath to see what some people say about this. There's a lot of people making jokes about Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to watch the scene or look it up on YouTube or something to see if that's actually the case.
Yeah,
if it is,
that's a tough
that's
sell.
pretty funny. Yeah, it's pretty funny though if it actually is. Let's see. In Spider-Man: Homecoming, MJ is reading a book called "Invitation to a Beheading." The book is about a man in a prison cell whose only other occupant is a spider. That's another deep cut.
Yes.
Let's see here. This is a cool one. I never noticed this before until reading this one. In Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when they're investigating the murder scene at the beginning, they're showing there's yellow paint on the rope that was cut. And you don't notice till later on in the film that the judge has yellow hands when he takes his gloves off.
Right.
Yeah. Here's another New Hope one. In Star Wars New Hope and Star Wars The Force Awakens, the inmate number of Princess Leia and the soldier number for Finn's uniform are the same.
Yeah,
So
I knew that.
Princess Leia was in cell block 2187, and Finn's call number was FN 2187.
Yeah, I heard that one before.
And the last one I got here for this one, in Hocus Pocus 1993, Max Dennison's tie-dye shirt that you see him wearing at the beginning of the film features the colors of the three Sanderson sisters. Here's a lot of other ones that we've seen already. This is a good one. This is in Twilight Zone, the movie. When you think about Twilight Zone, what's that?
Was there anything good about that?
So Twilight Zone, the movie, makes a reference to Animal House in one of its Easter eggs. So one of the characters in Animal House was Lieutenant Niedermeyer.
Yes.
And it says at the end of Animal House, when they do the rollover of what happens to the characters in the future,
yep,
it says that Lieutenant Niedermeyer was shot by his own men in the Vietnam War. And in one of the clips from Twilight Zone, the movie, it's about a bunch of soldiers in Vietnam, and one of them says, "I told you guys we shouldn't have shot Lieutenant Niedermeyer." Linda Blair, who played the Exorcist, makes a cameo appearance in Scream.
Yeah, that's not an Easter egg. That's his cameo.
Yeah, it's a cameo. Here's a good one though. The Lion King and Hercules.
Yes, that's
In the one scene, yes, the animated Hercules Disney film. In the one scene, he's wearing Scar.
Yeah, he's definitely wearing Scar.
Wearing Scar's pelt. So you have Yoda making an appearance in E.T. and then E.T. making an appearance in the Clone Wars.
Same universe.
All right, I'm gonna say, I don't know if you guys have seen this one or not yet. Back to the Future. Do you know the Easter egg for that one?
Is it what's his name? Lawrence, not Lawrence Headroom. Max Headroom.
What's Max Headroom do in Back to the Future?
Isn't he? Oh, that's Back to the Future too. My bad. No, go ahead.
Back to the Future, when he first shows up at the mall to see the time travel experiment, it's called the Twin Pines Mall. And then when he lands in 58 or whatever it is, he takes out the tree with the car. 1955. He takes out the tree with the car. So when he comes back to the future to try to stop the Libyans from shooting the professor, the sign now says the Lone Pine Mall. Apparently, R2-D2 was in Star Trek Into Darkness.
Really?
Yeah, it says the blink and miss it cameo. He's among the debris in one scene. Oh, it's like when the ship blows up or something. Like you see him floating with the debris in space.
Oh, gotcha.
What else we got here?
There's the Pac-Man with Tron again.
I like the Danny Glover in Maverick.
Yeah, that's a cameo.
That's a cameo.
So I'm trying to find ones that are actually Easter eggs here. These are a lot of Easter eggs are getting mixed up with cameos, and that's not what an Easter egg is.
No.
Star Wars and Blade Runner. People, you see a few scenes in Blade Runner where people are walking around with umbrellas, and the umbrella handles are lit up like lightsabers.
Man.
Let's go to the Disney one here. I'm sure the Disney one probably has some better Easter eggs.
Yeah, well, this website keeps freezing up on me anyway.
And Ralph Breaks the Internet. Aunt Cass from Big Hero 6 is in the singles ad that one of the adware guys shows to Ralph. Either you guys seen Ralph Breaks the Internet?
I did. I liked it. It was an interesting way of talking, making the internet into a physical place.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was cool. It wasn't. I still love the first one. I think
the first one was better, but this was how likes were transformed into a physical thing, and streaming and going viral and all that jazz.
Here's a good one. In Moana, 2016, in the scene with Tamatoa, the big crab, has all the treasures that are stuck all over his body. One of the treasures is Aladdin's lamp. That's one you got to really search for.
Ooh, what has happened there?
I don't know. Mikey blipped out on us for a second.
Both of you guys look like you blipped out on me.
Is it 5 years later? Or did Thanos snap?
Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
Let's go to here's the appearance
Moana has
of
a lot
Rapunzel
of them.
Yeah, there's a lot in here. So you got Flounder makes makes an appearance in Moana and one in Maui's "You're Welcome" song.
Yeah.
Olaf is in Moana.
His hands and nose.
That's weird. Elsa and Anna are in Zootopia.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Lilo and
Stitch.
Stitch.
Two little elephants dressed like Anna and Elsa. Stitch is in a photo in the background in Big Hero 6. Rapunzel makes an appearance in Frozen.
That we knew.
Paperman, right? I don't know that.
I don't know Paper.
Pinocchio and Tangled. These are like a lot of again, a lot of like cameo things, more or less. Here we go. The Princess and the Frog. You go to the Princess and the Frog, slide 11 there. The magic carpet from Aladdin is seen. Somebody's like flapping it over the side of the balcony in the
dusting it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Skeleton and Princess and the
That's
Frog.
a stretch.
Just shadow.
The Jungle Book and Meet the Robinsons. So there's a Jungle Book billboard in the background of one of the Little League scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The Lion King and Chicken Little. Oh, the beginning of Chicken Little looks like the beginning of the Lion King.
Wow.
Again, these are like, if I'm like just going through the list like quickly because there's like a lot of like it's just Disney likes to.
I can tell you one. I can tell you one right off the top of my head. I don't know if it's on the list. Is you can find Dumbo, a stuffed Dumbo in Lilo and Stitch, sitting on her bed.
You can go into the Boo's bedroom in Monsters Inc. and find a lot of hidden Disney characters. Here's one, slide 20. In Tarzan, one of the gorillas is sitting down at a table with teapot and teacups, and they look like Mrs. Potts and Chip from Beauty and the Beast.
Slide 18 is the one I was talking. It says Dumbo and Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, slide 19 doesn't make any sense to me. Hidden Mickeys.
Oh, hidden Mickeys. That's a big thing in Disney too.
Right.
Hidden Mickeys are shapes that look like Mickey Mouse.
But are you
like
guys seeing hidden Mickeys in the Emperor's New Groove? Because
so the food on the plates are lined. It's like lined up to look like the Mickey head and the Mickey ears.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I would never guess.
No, I'm not seeing it.
That's it's so small.
That's what she said.
Mrs. Pot.
That's what she said. So
move on to Dog and Tarzan, her brother.
Here's the fun one: The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1996. One of the gargoyles on the side of the cathedral looks like Pumbaa from The Lion King. And then you have I remember this one too in Aladdin when the Sultan is playing with his toys and he's like stacking them up. One of the toys looks like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah.
And this is funny because this is back when Disney would put Easter eggs in for movies that hadn't come out yet. Because Aladdin came out first and then Beauty and the Beast, and so they were like laying the seeds for Beauty and the Beast in this film before it came out.
I like number 28, slide 28.
Slide 28 is Jock in The Lion King.
Yeah,
Jock
never
Lady
saw
and the
that.
Tramp. Yeah, I never noticed that
I've
either.
never-
I don't know if that's
never-
kind of like it's in the background, like kind of silhouetted there. It's hard to like tell. I mean, it could just be that it looks like
It's
that.
a quick shot too. Yeah.
I mean, you got Sebastian in Aladdin in 1992, and
Yes.
Sebastian the Crab is hanging off of the genie's
There's your
finger.
cameo.
Mickey in Aladdin.
In the face of
During
the
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 transformation.
tiger's face, like briefly, looks like Mickey Mouse's face when it's transforming. California and Beauty and the Beast.
So I see the name Anaheim, which I get. I'm trying to make out the one above it. Looks like Valencia.
Yeah,
Valencia.
Valencia, which is yeah.
Mm.
So it says when poor Maurice gets lost in the woods at the beginning of Beauty and the Beast, it looks as if he strayed very far. If the signpost is any reliable indication, the towns listed on the sign are Anaheim, where Disneyland is located, Valencia, which is the home to the California Institute of the Arts, and where many Disney animators studied their craft. Okay. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are in attendance at the Little Mermaid in the beginning scene.
I like later on though. The next slide.
Kermit and the Little Mermaid.
Kermit the Frog is a little mermaid later on.
That's funny. Again, a lot of these seem more like cameos than Easter eggs.
Yeah, I mean they do.
Yeah, more cameos than Easter eggs. So again, like I said, this is one that we'll have to visit again later on because there's a lot more out there. There's a whole list of Marvel films that I didn't even get to. Mike, you have any beer trivia or beer history for us this evening?
I got some beer trivia for you, boys. The federal tax American brewers pay on each gallon of beer they produce is called the federal excise tax.
Oh, that doesn't sound right because after drinking so much beer, I don't want to exercise.
I thought it meant exorcise, like exorcism.
Ah.
Like, get those spirits out of you. So let's revisit our drinks this evening. I, of course, am just drinking a gin and ginger ale because I know it's a go-to that'll never let me down. Kevin, how was your Peep This?
Peep This was not bad. It was okay, a little more chocolatey than I expected for a peep based, theme. But it was all right. It was I will probably enjoy another one this weekend. And I had moved on to my River Horse Kirsch Noir, which was a chocolate cherry imperial stout, 10% alcohol by volume. And this is also delightful.
I really like that one. That was the one I was drinking on the All Hallows podcast. That's a good one.
Yes.
Mike, I forgot. What were you drinking again today?
Tea. Fucking tea.
Fucking tea. So thanks for joining us tonight for episode 101, Easter Egg Hunt, where we looked at some film Easter eggs. This is a topic we'll, of course, probably revisit somewhere down the line because there are a lot of movies out there, a lot of Easter eggs. We hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsfermentation for all of our social media and podcast links. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody out there who listened and liked and reviewed and downloaded our 100th episode celebration. And thank you to the members of our podcast family who were nice enough to send us some congratulatory messages that we played on the podcast. We really appreciate all your support. Don't forget to stop by the crossroads between pickled and fermented next week as we present episode 102, A Day in the Life. This is going to be a podcast about our favorite films that take place in one day. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Happy Easter, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.